Hello and welcome to Gutsy Christianity with your host, Rosa Hopkins. This week's episode is brought to you by ChoiceWriters.com, a blog writing service that provides businesses with elegant copy from the best writers.
Hello, and welcome to Gutsy Christianity with Rosa Hopkins. It's so good to have you tuning in and sharing a part of your Sunday afternoon with us. Today we have Henke on the line, and she works in the publishing business, and actually those dust jackets that you read when you pick up a Christian living book or you're looking on Amazon, our friend actually helps write those. And so we were going to have an interesting conversation with her today, and I wanted to welcome you to the show, Anna.
Thanks so much, Rosa. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And so I'm just curious, and on behalf of our listeners, when a person goes into a Christian bookstore and they're looking at the titles and they're deciding if they're going to buy something about parenting or about prayer, what goes into that when you're writing those descriptions and you're trying to draw the reader in? What's that process like for you?
Well, the answer is a lot goes into that. I work for a Christian publisher. I work for Baker Publishing Group, and I've been there for about 6 years now. And in terms of what goes into a book, you have a whole team of people that is bringing that book to you. So from editors to the author obviously starts the process, and then you have editors, and then you have the marketing department, and I'm part of the marketing department. And I will take, once a book gets to me, and if I'm assigned to write the back cover copy, I will take a look at the topic. We have a meeting as a marketing department and decide kind of what's the hook of the book, what's the thing that makes it most unique. And we take that, we develop kind of a pitch for the book, and then I expand on that based on what the author has provided, and usually they're providing wonderful content, so it makes my job really easy. And I just go through and I kind of look at the key points of the book and try to convey those in the cover copy in a way that really is going to draw you as a reader into the book and make you want to read more.
Right. So, if that were my job or the average person and we're saying, okay, well, the topic is prayer, learn how to pray. I mean, it's hard for most of us to think, well, how do you see past sort of what the topic is, if that makes sense, to what the reader, I don't know, these sort of internal needs are. How do you sort of do that and draw that out, and what does that look like?
Well, for me, I try to start with a pain point. So, like, if it was prayer, let's stick with prayer. For example, the hook of a book might be like, what do you do when it feels like God, your prayers aren't being answered? So I try to go from a point where you have a problem, the reader has a problem, and this book is going to solve your problem. So the first thing that I address in the cover copy is what that problem is. And then I go, that way it's not just like learn how to pray, it's like addressing a specific need. And we call that a felt need in publishing. And for every book, we go through and we decide what is the felt need of a nonfiction book. And that becomes kind of the centralized point that the copy is based on. So for parenting, like if you have a special needs child, like your felt need might be like finding new purpose in your life with this special needs child, and it just depends on what the book is and what the concept is. But yeah, I usually start from a point of a need and then convey that, and then talk about the ways this book is going to solve that need or help you move past that or encourage you in your struggle, all of those different ways that a book can help you move through that situation.
Oh, wow. That is absolutely interesting. I was listening to a call the other day with Renee Swope of Proverbs 31 Ministries, and she had a background in marketing prior to becoming a Christian author and speaker, as did Lisa Turkhurst. And she was saying that marketing, in her view, is simply stewarding the message that God has given. And so that's a very, I think, a very responsible way to look at that, because sometimes writers, I myself am a Christian writer, and I am friends with a lot of Christian writers that hopefully will be listening to the audio when the interview is finished. There's a lot of hesitancy towards the marketing aspect, and I think there's a lot of misunderstandings. For one, I personally don't really understand anything about marketing, and I wish I did. But for people that are in marketing and they understand it, what do you think that maybe those of us who are writers are missing in the equation when we're like, I don't know if we should do that. I don't know if that's a sin. Is it wrong, etc., if that makes sense? What kind of perspective can you offer to those of us that are on that side of the equation?
Well, first, can I clarify the question? When you say, is it wrong, do you mean the concept of promoting yourself? And is that what you're talking about? Or just
absolutely
selling your book?
Yeah, it absolutely goes along with that. Sometimes we feel that would Jesus have been a marketer? That we're not sure. We're not even sure what is involved with marketing, but we feel that somehow we're going to end up selling our souls. That's how the artists feel about it a lot of times. So yeah, what's some perspective on that?
Well, as you know, and I am a writer myself. I will just say first of all, so I can kind of speak to both sides of this problem. I'm working on a book myself. I'm always working on a book. And I'm in marketing, and that's obviously my day job. And how I see marketing is like what Renee, and Renee is actually a Baker author. What Renee says is true. Like, marketing is a way to get your message, the message that God has given you, out to the world. Like, and I see myself and our marketing team as kind of God's vessels in a way to get these important messages from God into the hands of readers and to touch the lives of readers. Like, that's our job, and that's part of the mission statement of our publishing house, is to get these important messages out there. I won't quote you the mission statement, but that's like the gist of it. And I feel that in terms of self-promotion, like, it's not so much that you're promoting yourself, it's promoting your message. Like, God has given you a calling. He has given you a calling to write a book. He has given you a calling to pursue ministry in your life, because a book is ministry, and if it's a Christian book and it's conveying a message from God, that is a ministry. And promoting yourself is a bad way to think of it. I think, you're promoting God's message is the way to think of it. And you are getting that out into the world to the people who need it. We get, being inside marketing, I can tell you that our authors get messages from readers all the time, both those that go on book tours and through emails and through snail mail, from readers whose lives have been touched, whose lives have been changed by the books that these authors have written and that we have helped put out into the world. For example, we published Beverly Lewis, and she just went on a book tour, and she shared with us that someone had come up to her and said, "I found Jesus through your fiction book," and like, that's a powerful testimony to why marketing matters and why getting these books into the hands of as many people as possible matters, because God is going to work through these books, and He is going to work through your message. And just like, we want the world to hear the good news of Jesus, like, this is one way that the world can hear the good news of Jesus, and can also develop people who are already Christians in their walks with God. So that's what I would say to anyone who is reluctant to promote themselves or feels unsure about marketing, or if it feels kind of unsavory, is that it's just the vessel for God to use you.
I think sometimes writers, and I'm just going to be painfully honest here, I think they sometimes think that there's a dishonesty in it. Maybe you could speak to that and tell us what really is the case.
A dishonesty in, like, marketing language, you mean?
I think that people somehow feel that they have to adapt their message to be salesy, and that in doing so, they will be dishonest in some way.
Personally, I don't believe that that's something that happens at my publishing house. I can't speak to, like, the world in general, but I know that as a Christian publisher, and I think I can speak for most other Christian publishers, that integrity to the message is a very important value to us. And when I'm writing copy, like, I don't just write back cover copy. I write advertising copy. So I'm writing the copy that's going in magazines, on the radio, on TV, online. So I write those advertisings that you're referring to people being uncomfortable about. And I am very honest. And if I'm uncomfortable with making a certain claim, I will admit it. I will not make that claim, or I will raise an objection, because I'm not, I don't believe in overpromising. I believe that we should be very upfront about the message, and I don't believe that, saying that this is the best book ever written on, whatever, that does come across as salesy, and that's not the strength of the book. Like, that can be said about any book, dishonestly, And the strength of the book is really conveying the unique hook that book has. We're back to that unique hook and that unique angle that this author has, that God has given this author. And that's the thing to focus on in marketing is what is unique about the book, and what, again, that felt need, how it can help you. And that's when I market, when I write ads, that is what I focus on.
So I think then that in the writing community, it's a misunderstanding. And I actually think there's a lot of power to dispel that myth, because I'm in too many writing groups to even remember. I do not know how many. And so my Facebook feed is continually bombarded with things related to fears and a reluctance to promote in a marketing salesy kind of way. And I think it's kind of why Ruth Soukup's book was titled the way it was, How to Blog for Profit Without Selling Your Soul. And I think that if Christians understood that maybe we're confusing the marketing of the world, or the way that some people would market their wares is not how Christians can actually do this, that we're failing to use a tool because we're thinking that, no, this is the only way it can be applied, when actually with honesty and integrity, with like what you just said, that's a beautiful and a powerful thing to get those felt needs expressed in a way so that the reader is drawn to the book, and therefore they can have these truths sown into their lives. I think that's a wonderful thing, and I honestly look forward to sharing that message with other writers, because you impact writers, and that is exponential in terms of what it does in the world, because each writer has however many messages, and I think getting the word out about that's very important. So I really look forward to sharing that information with others. And so I just have one final question before we close. What tips would you have for somebody who says, wow, I really like the idea of using marketing to kind of hone my message and get that out to people, but I don't know how. I've never done it. All I have done is written my devotionals, and I share it with the online community that I have. But so what kind of things could I maybe be doing in the writing or in the promotion to help market what I've written?
Well, the number one thing that I recommend is to build an email list for authors. And I recommend that because when most authors have an author website, and if you don't, then I suggest you get one. But building an email list of your devoted fans and people who read your books, look forward to your books, find inspiration and encouragement in what you have written through God's direction, I think is a great way to market. And it's also like you're just speaking to your list. Like, you write the emails, you control the message. So if this is particularly great for people like you were mentioning before who maybe were uncomfortable with marketing at some point or felt that it was too salesy, an email list is a great place to start because you are going to be speaking directly to the people who maybe follow you on social media, who have read your book, and you can just form a simple, put a simple subscribe button on your website and then send out an email, once a week to the people who subscribe to your list with an encouraging message or some information about an upcoming book or some information about your personal life, however you want to speak to that list in order to keep them engaged with you so that when you do have a new book, you can share the excitement with them, and they will hopefully go buy that book. And it's a great way because it's just that natural. It's just a natural communication. Like, you can write these emails like you're writing to a friend, and it skips. You can just bypass any of that salesy part that you're uncomfortable with, and just go straight to just talking to people about what you're doing, about what God is doing in your life. And I really recommend that to all authors, even first-time authors who have a small list. Like, start small and, start from zero and go up from there and treat those people on your list like you would treat your list if you had hundreds of people on it. And form friendships with them, build interactions with them, and they're going to be excited for your next book. And it's just a great stepping stone. And you will always have contact with that list. If you try to use only Facebook or social media, their algorithms will mess with how many people you can reach. Research shows that 80% of people prefer to receive messages, promotional messages, through email anyway. So that's really what I recommend. And if you don't mind a little plug, I do have a course that covers, it's a free course on my website, which is www.theresidentwriter.com, which if you subscribe to my newsletter, you can opt into my free course on copywriting and marketing, and it walks you through kind of how to start your email list and what to say, and when you do have a book out, how to talk to them about that book. And it's just a really simple, basic guide for someone who's just getting started. So I would recommend that, and that would be my number one tip.
That's wonderful, and that's great information. And you also offer services to authors, and could you tell us a little bit about that as well?
Absolutely. At the moment, I offer two services. The first is that I offer freelance cover copy services and Amazon description services. So for a 1-week turnaround, and for, excuse me, I'm getting a little off track here, but, okay, can we pause and redo this one?
Absolutely. Go ahead. Go for it.
Okay. Absolutely, I do. I offer cover copy services on a freelance capacity for authors who are either self-publishing or who just want to refresh their cover copy or their Amazon description. And how that works is you just inquire on my website, you submit a form, and then we talk about your book a little bit, and then you can choose to hire me if you so choose, and I will write your cover copy from scratch. I will read your entire book, and then we can decide together on what your hook is and what the felt need of your reader is, and then I will write that cover copy / Amazon description for you, and you can have that within a week. And that is, the pricing's on my website, but that's $150. And then I also offer a full Facebook ad package. So Facebook ads are a great way to advertise your book. And I have a lot of experience, just like with cover copy, I have a lot of experience creating Facebook ads. And with my Facebook ad package, you receive 2 versions of copy written by me, and then a professional design for your image from a designer who has over 10 years of experience. And so you can test which one of the ads works better, because you have 2 versions. And it's always good to test, because you never know what's going to most resonate with your audience until you test. And that's for $60, and that's for, all authors who maybe just don't know how to put together the image or would like some help writing copy that really converts high, which means that people are clicking on your ad, people are buying your book. So that's just a great way to dip your toes in the water. If you haven't done Facebook ads before, this is a great way to start with that.
All right. That sounds comprehensive and very useful, and I'm sure a lot of writers absolutely need help with that. And so can you tell our listeners where they can find you and your services online?
Absolutely. My website is www.theresidentwriter.com. And do I need to spell that out, do you think?
I think, a lot of times with names, there are all kinds of different spellings with personal names. But
okay.
So that was theresidentwriter.com. And so they can they can find Anna, and they can find her services there. And it sounds like there's also a free course as well for email list and other things that authors absolutely need help with. And so it was very interesting getting to hear about this aspect of the publishing world that so many of us in the listening audience, or those of us who are writers, don't usually get to see. So I really appreciate that you took the time to be with us on Gutsy Christianity today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a blast.
Thank you for joining us this Sunday on Gutsy Christianity with your host, Rosa Hopkins. You can find Rosa's blog online at gutsychristianity.com, and you can find her and her music on joeandrosahopkins.com. And you can find her on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/Rosa Hopkins. You can join us again next week, same channel, same time, for another episode of Gutsy Christianity. And once again, this episode is brought to you by choicewriters.com, a blog writing service that provides businesses with elegant copy from the best writers. They have very good rates, and I'm sure they'd be interested in any kind of writing work that could be sent their way, whether you need a blog written, or if you need ghostwriting done, or an advertisement, or any kind of writing you need done. I'm sure they would be interested in it, but mostly they write blogs for people. And, I'd like to thank you so much for joining us this week. God bless you. God bless your family, and we certainly hope to join you again next week on Gutsy Christianity with Rosa Hopkins.